I guess my story begins in the summer of 2001. I was actually living in San Francisco, California, and I remember going on a hike with some friends one day, and I started tripping and falling a lot more than I usually do. And I thought maybe I was just tired and being lazy that day. But the next day in my yoga class, I started falling out of positions. And because I was such an active skier and went to the gym a lot, I kind of figured that I had maybe pulled a muscle and it hadn't healed right. So I got the recommendation of a orthopedist, but when I went to the orthopedist, he examined me for about 3 or 4 minutes and said, I think you need to go see a neurologist. I moved back to New York City in September and went to see a neurologist, and I think within 5 minutes of his examination, he thought I had multiple sclerosis. I was female, I was 33 years old, I was having foot drop and weakness in my right hip flexor. And he obviously wanted to run some tests. We did an MRI and we found scarring on a little bit of scarring on my brain. Most of my scarring is on my C-spine. I then went and found an MS specialist who reviewed my case, and I was diagnosed with secondary progressive MS in January of 2002. And my case was very progressive. Within about 1.5 to 2 years, I went from hiking and skiing to using a cane, not being able to even use a cane for more than a few blocks, having to use a wheelchair for kind of any long distances. And I was really getting very scared. I had wonderful doctors and nurse practitioners and social workers who were working with me, and I started out trying several different medications. Tried one medication for about 6 months. It didn't seem to help, and I had bad side effects. Then I tried another medication for about 9 months, and I continued to progress. I even tried the chemotherapy that was available at the time for people with MS, which of course made me sick, and I still, seemed to be progressing. And then my doctor told me about an experimental medication that they were doing a trial with, and although I wasn't able to make it into the trial, he thought that maybe it would help me, and he prescribed 4-aminopyridine for me. And he gave me the pills, and they actually sat in my medicine cabinet for almost 3 or 4 months. I was so scared to try something new. I had been so disappointed and so hopeful that everything else, would work, and then it didn't, and scared of side effects and just really scared of being disappointed. But finally, I gave him a call and I said, all right, I'm going to start him on Monday. And he said, okay, I have an appointment on Thursday. Come on in. So I started taking a pill, which was so much nicer than having to give myself a shot. And I took it in the morning and then 12 hours later in the evening. I went in to see him. I laid down on the table. And normally when he would test my leg strength, I'd have my leg straight out and he would say, lift your right leg. And I could normally lift it about 1 or 2 inches off the table. This time when he said, lift your right leg, if this is my leg, it went straight up in the air. And we both looked at each other. And then all of a sudden I kind of started doing like radio music hall kicks and stuff like that, and jumped off and realized that I could walk. I had walked in there using the cane and dragging my leg because I was so used to it not working. I don't even think my brain thought to tell it to work anymore. And, told my parents and all my friends later on, and everybody was just thrilled. I testified a few years later when 4AP went to the FDA and helped get that approved as Ampera, which is now a drug that's available for people with MS, and it's supposed to help improve walking. They do call me a super responder because most people who take 4AP do see, about 30% of people who take Ampera now, as it's called, do respond, but very few people respond where they're kind of in and out of a wheelchair and then all of a sudden can hike 4 or 5 miles now like I can. So I feel super blessed that I was able to find, something that's been able to help me so much.